Welcome back to News Desk. We are now going live to cover the NCCE dialogue on 3 decades of uninterrupted constitutional rule, revisiting the agenda for reforms. Let's take you live there to the dialogue. It's happening here in Accra.
Our national life is in itself very laudable. These discussions, apart from engendering higher commitment to the principles of our Constitution and compelling strict observance of them by persons who are entrusted with statutory authority, they also point out areas of the Constitution that do not appear to be working smoothly and need modification. It is in this sense that the NCCE deserves utmost commendation for organizing this high-level national conversation, which should serve to direct the discussions about constitutional reforms towards achieving some concrete goals. It has been stated with authority by the Supreme Court of Ghana that the recent Constitution ought to be seen as a living organism which is capable of growth and development. See to 4 verses Attorney General, 1980 Ghana Law Report, 637. Therefore, it is normal that with the effluxion of time, a constitutional document would need to change to reflect its growth and development. This reality was not lost on the framers of the 1992 Constitution. Consequently, they devoted the whole of Chapter 25 of the Constitution to making comprehensive provisions on processes and procedures for amending both the entrenched and non-entrenched provisions of the Constitution. Nonetheless, as the Constitution is the supreme law that lies at the top of the normative pyramid of our legal system, it must not be subject to frequent and trifling amendments, lest its sanctity withers away. As was explained in 4 verses Attorney General, the Constitution is a solemn legal document, political and developmental in nature. It is designed to reflect past values, regulate the present, and inspire the future of the nation. It provides for the longings and aspirations of the people for the realization of a better and fuller life, while making provision for a framework of governance necessary to achieve these objectives. However, society is not static, and what the aspirations of our nations were considered to be in 1992 may change with time. While we as a people are occupied with the uninterrupted application of the Constitution, some of our collective values disintegrate and are replaced by new ones. Some political priorities get overtaken by others, and some previously perceived urgent challenges cease to cause the anxiety that they created in 1992. In that connection, the Constitution must be reasonably stable enough to readjust to new realities of changing values and national priorities. It is an established democratic principle that judges, through the power of judicial interpretation, are permitted to interpret and apply a written Constitution, such as ours, in a manner that reflects and gives effect to changing priorities, values, and national factors. However, the scope of judicial interpretation as a means for accommodating deserving changes to a Constitution is highly restricted in matters where a particular policy choice has been expressly stated in the language of the text of the Constitution. In the Supreme Court case of Republic versus Fast Track High Court, ex parte Daniels, 2003-2004 Supreme Court of Ghana Law Report, JSC said as follows, quote, "We cannot, under the cloak of constitutional interpretation, rewrite the Constitution of Ghana. Even in the area of statutory interpretation, we cannot amend a piece of legislation because we dislike its terms or because we suppose that the lawgiver was mistaken or unwise. Our responsibility is greater when we interpret the Constitution. We cannot and must not substitute our wisdom for the collective wisdom of the framers of the Constitutional Code." The other limitation of constitutional amendment by judicial interpretation is that what judges may perceive as a new drift of national consensus may be disputed. Certain times, when the Supreme Court renders a decision that appears to dictate a particular policy choice, said to be the intention of the framers of the Constitution, some vociferous sections of the society would challenge it and insist that the opposite of what the court said is a better policy choice for the country. To this end, I believe that while judicial interpretation may have a role in aligning our Constitution in penumbral areas left out of the constitutional text, since a Constitution cannot set out every conceivable circumstance and provide for it, after 30 years of existence, our Constitution requires certain significant reforms that can only be accomplished by resort to the amendment procedure in Chapter 25 of the Constitution. Gladly, the work of the Constitutional Review Commission in 2010 resulted in a comprehensive report. While I do not intend to go through the findings and recommendations of the CRC for their well documented, it bears pointing out at least 3 key points of dissatisfaction Ghanaians expressed about the workings of the 1992 Constitution at the time of the consultations. These were: 1, deficit in transparent governance despite changing from dictatorship to constitutional rule in 1992. 2, continuous high levels of public sector corruption and lack of accountability for revenue from natural resource exploitation. 3, non-realization of real democratic dividend in the form of accelerated national development promised as attainable under constitutional rule. These were 3 key areas that Ghanaians said the Constitution had not lived up to what they expected. I will discuss the work of the CRC later on, but let me make the point here that since those consultations, Ghanaians continue to register their grievances with the governance under the 1992 Constitution and the call for amendments. The calls for constitutional reforms are getting louder of late and have spread to involve the younger generation whose persistent failure to see a better future ahead of them after continuous changes of government appear to explain their awakening. It has dawned on many observers that as a nation we require something deeper than changing governments under the same Constitution, and that we need to take a hard look at the governance framework under our Constitution. For example, earlier this year, the immediate past chairperson of the NCCE, Mrs. Josephine Nkrumah, in a press release on Constitution Day, acknowledged that despite the remarkable achievements of the Constitution, there is a need for a reform and improvement of the constitutional infrastructure. And I quote here,